So the reason for this weekend is we're coming up to the end of the year, and I wanted to give you some more of my time and just perhaps go over some things that you've either forgot or you've got burning questions, that sort of thing. So as I said, I've got a running order here, and because I want you to succeed. I've spent 10 years developing software, and we've got more stuff coming out next year. You know, I make it work because that's what I did manually before. This software and all the training I've done and all the videos and everything like that, it's there designed to help you, but sometimes you just need some FaceTime and some help. So 2 hours today, 2 hours tomorrow. So today's more to do with manual trading. We're going to be introducing the new trading buddy when we talk about setting operational landscape. We do some basic stuff. We're going to go through signals, confirmations, fresh air, guardian zones, that sort of thing. We're going to be looking at Confluence strategies as well, both for swing trading and day trading, using a combination of the tools. And they're really, the strong sort of confluence between them is what we're looking for. So let's start with some rules. Okay, so this is my trade setup in Dubai. That's my operational landscape. And I do follow the same rules that I tell you about. Okay, it doesn't matter that my architecture is quite large. To be honest, I've got more screens in Spain in my office there. But it allows me to function through when I'm trading. I've got a set sort of motion, if you like, and I understand my operational landscape with all those different charts there. So some of them I don't look at regularly, but they're there. And if I just want to check on something, it's there, and that information's there for me. But I always follow the same rules. Signal plus no confirmation plus fresh air equals no trade. It's as simple as that. I am an algorithm. Yeah, my trading brain is an algorithm. I need the rules. Signal plus confirmation plus no fresh air equals no trade. It's like, it's zero trading opportunities. When I get a signal and I've got confirmation and I've got fresh air, I have a trading opportunity. That's when I go. There are no exceptions, okay? They're just the rules. So we give you the software, different software that produces different signals. We give you the same software that confirms or denies any of those signals. We then give you the same software only on NinjaTrader for seeing if you've got fresh air to go into support resistance zones. But I'm going to sort of compare TradingView and NinjaTrader today just to show you how you would do them manually. And we're looking for those trading opportunities. So what do we have right now? So for signals wise, we have roller coaster. So I can tell you now the roller coaster when the signals, there was 30 odd signals in 5 hours on roller coaster on gold when the inflation data came out. The other strategies did not trade because there was the volatility suited that roller coaster. Okay, we have the Slingshot, we have the range breakout, we have the VWAP Predator, the xBrat Algo, the ElliottWave, the harmonic patterns. All of those produce signals, and we're going to look at some of those combined together in a little while for that Confluence strategy. We use the bias depth heatmap for confirmation. Go, no-go gauge. Simple rule, okay? You've not got the confirmation, you don't take the trade. We use the guardian zones on NinjaTrader, but there are videos out there, especially on my xBrat Academy, which teach you how to draw those support and resistance zones in manually yourself. It's hard work, but if you haven't got NinjaTrader or and then the guardian zones, you've got to do it. It's part of your job. And then we have the manager. So the manager manages trades. We've got special training for that, and that's in the xBrat Academy Essential module as well, because Anybody can follow a signal. Not many people get the confirmation of fresh air, but even then, when you're in that, you need to know how to manage it to maximize those profits consistently. And that's the important thing here, is that we have that progression from signals, confirmation of those signals, we've got fresh air to trade into, and then we have the manager to manage those trades. They're all separate, okay? And I can tell you now, ElliottWave down there at the bottom was the first one that I developed 10 years ago. Okay, and that's available for lots of different platforms. And then we progressed to the xBrat Algo. Okay, then we progressed to Harmonics, then range breakout, roller coaster, Slingshot, and then recently VWAP Predator. They all serve a purpose in different market conditions. So the roller coaster serves it when it's highly volatile and we're going up and down like a roller coaster in a range and it's trading. Okay. The range breakout serves a purpose to identify specific times of the day, looking for that opening range and trading the breakout of that range. The Slingshot, you'll get it, you're trending, it pulls back, it measures that pullback and trades the Slingshot. The VWAP Predator is there for momentum trades. So as momentum starts to build, you get VWAP Predator signals, and you can actually use those, especially if they're close together, to add more contracts to a trade, or more lots if you're a Forex trader. The xBrat Algo really is a confluence of 12 different points of control. If you like, just call them 12 different trading indicators. And 12 out of 12 is a 6-star buy or sell, okay? 11 out of 12 is a 5-star. So it grades the trades. ElliottWave is ElliottWave. It counts the Elliott waves, and we trade the fifth. We don't trade any other of those waves. So when those rules are met for wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4 pullback, we really have those tools in there to measure that wave 4 pullback. We trade the fifth wave. That's all it's for. Harmonic patterns, really, I don't trade harmonic patterns. What I do is I have an overview on there and look for confluences when one of those completes in an automated completion zone. That gives me a lot more confidence of the trading, the direction that, and we'll have a quick look at those as well. Now, the thing that we've got new that's coming out next year, and the thing that's been missing for me, is the Trading Buddy. Okay, so that really is our operational landscape. Okay, and I'm going to go through a very brief presentation now on how that looks, what it does, and all that sort of thing. Okay, because it's very important you understand that your trading chart gives you a certain amount of information. So it gives you the price action. Yeah. If you've got volume switch on there, it gives you the volume as well. If you've got the xBrat Guardian zones, it gives you that support and resistance zones. But there's a lot of things that, and I cover this a lot in the xBrat Academy Essentials module. It's things like correlations, normal behavior, and really when those economic data points are coming out, because that is your operational landscape. What's coming out? Do I need to adjust my trailing stop to break even before that data comes out? Oh, the data's coming out in 10 minutes. I'm not going to trade. I'm going to wait for the data to come out and look for the reaction. All of those things, most of you probably know that you need to do, but you need that visualization. And that's what we've done with the Trading Buddy. So let me just move that down, and I'm going to move Trading Buddy over. So this is for the NinjaTrader platform. So let's go through now what the Trading Buddy does. So let's start from the top. That is the time in EST. That is default, and because everything revolves around EST, time for the markets. Okay, and then this AST is actually the time here in Dubai. So I can change those particular times. Now we have a live economic calendar. Okay, obviously the markets are closed right now, But this is what comes up for the day. There's a red line, usually where we are in the day and what's coming up and all that sort of thing. Very, very important. And we can see I've got the filter on here to give me medium or high impact data. The low impact data I'm not really interested in, because on HG, that low impact data really doesn't affect it at all. But you will also see on the chart at the same time, so at 200 hours on Friday, we had GBP data, okay, which actually is 11 a.m. here. It's this GDP data here for the UK. So that corresponds to the flag on the chart on a vertical line. So if you're coming up to that, you need to understand what type of trade you're going to do. And, if you're getting into a trade, you've got to be careful and all that sort of stuff. So again, operational landscape, what's coming ahead. But you can also look at how your instrument reacts on data in the past. So we can see here at 8:30 on Thursday, we had economic data, and we can see this reaction to the downside here as well. We can see Swiss data here coming in and the reactions there as well. So, you can start to understand which data points affect your instrument and which have a very sort of, negligent, not negligent, but a very small effect or impact on your instruments. Let's go back to where we are. So one of the things which is really cool about this are these are correlation meters, okay? NQ, ES, RTY, and YM. They are fixed, okay? So this gives you a good idea of overall market sentiment. So in the past, when you saw that video of me on my trading setup, one of my chart sets on that big monitor that was vertical on the screen there was a whole chart set, and was 4 charts in there with those NQ, ES, RTY, and YM. And I always look at those to see, I want confidence that the market's behaving properly, or is there sector rotation between RTY, YM, and NQ and ES and all that sort of thing. For me, I personally like it when they're all going the same direction. That gives me, whether it's down or up, it doesn't really matter for me, whether it's green or red. It's just that they're predominantly going in the same direction, and we've got that positive correlation, and I feel very comfortable there's good trading conditions. That's the first thing. And then here on these 3 pairs, these are changeable. You can change those whatever you want. So for example, I've got HG and GC here. I've got CL and HG and ES. So they're correlations that I look for. So in reality, sometimes what I'm looking for with copper trades, for example, that we have a positive correlation between gold. So if they're both predominantly red and I'm trading copper and I get a short signal on one of those signal softwares, I'm pretty confident that the correlations are good with that. I know, for example, during the European morning, we have a negative correlation between oil and copper. But when it comes to pre-market and especially after the oil pit open in the US, that correlation goes positive. So it's that behavior that I'm looking for to understand that, yes, the correlations are good. Oil's going up in the European morning, copper's coming down. I get a short signal for copper. That gives me confidence that the operational landscape is right now on one of my screens, and it's front and center, and it's really, really important. So what I'm going to do now is go and show you some examples of gold on there with some of the indicators on. Okay, so this was Friday. Okay, so we had that UK data that came out. Okay, we had previous data that came out up here as well. So one of the things I look for is that this is the range breakout. These are the opening ranges you can see here if we just go back. But what I've done is set it to data times. Okay, so this is an 8:30 data time in the US. Okay, and at that point, I will be looking at those correlations. I understand it's coming up. I understand we're going to print an opening range. Okay, and then I want to trade the reaction. But I've got the Guardian zones on there. I'm not interested in a long because I've got this resistance of this 60, 15 and the 10-minute hits. So much resistance, it's going to fail. I'm not going to go long. What I am going to do is I'm going to wait for it to come down. I know I've got a little bit of 10-minute support down here, which almost correlates with this previous opening range. So I'm going to wait. I've got the US data come out. We have the reaction. I understand the behavior now. I'm looking at my correlations on the right. I see here GC is negative, 6E is positive. There's a negative correlation there. Really good for this type of trade. Everything looks good for me. GC, ES, everything looks good. Obviously, this is a correlation of when we closed here, but what I'm trying to say is that's what we're looking for. And then I would just take the trade coming down below that 2728 sort of mark all the way down to here. And then when we had the London data, this is a different type of strategy here. So this is what we have this 2 a.m. We measure the 10 minutes going into it before, and we get a yellow. So it's like this amber here, and that's what we call a straddle trade. Okay, so normally what we would do with a straddle trade is look for a trade above and an order below, because that straddle trade is confirmed by the bias depth heat map having green, yellow, and red in there. So there's total indecision there. But I know it's a data point, and I go and have a look at my correlations at that time, and I say, actually, I'm only interested in a short trade, okay, on gold right now, because my correlations are saying actually the short trades are going to be good here, the long trades aren't because of the correlations. Yeah, quick glance, that's where we are. And the same with this data. I mean, this gold pit open here for Friday as well. It's quite a wide open, but there was a trade down to that support and resistance zone there. It did continue to go down as well, but it's about those correlations. One more example with the VWAP Predator here. So again, what we see is this is on the 3-minute Heikin-Ashi, and there are options here. We get this UK data that comes out. I'm not going to trade short into this support. Plus, also we've got this different type of strategy here. We need confirmation from this bias depth heat map. So what we're looking for is these sell signals coming through this 30-minute zone. Then we get one here that closes. That's where I'm going, because all my confirmation is all red. I've got loads of fresh air down to that zone. In the end, we close out at the end of the session. Sorry, that's the Chinese data. And then, and then so on and so forth. We get another one late morning in the US, but there's not a lot of fresh air in there. But the main thing is with the trading buddy, and it's coming out in January, is that it gives you that operational landscape to be able to feel confident. You understand what's coming up, how your instrument has reacted to that, medium to high impact data in the past. Understand what's coming up today, making your trading plan. Then you've got your correlation. So you really, we need to understand, first of all, is the market behaving normally? Is there synergy in the market? If there's a bit of sector rotation in there, and so for example, NQ and ES could be green. YTY could be half red, and YM could be half red. So there's a bit of selling off in those two indexes, in stocks in those indexes, and they're buying in the others. So just understanding that allows us to understand that, if ES is all green, for example, and we've replaced that with 6E there, and we've got that negative correlation with GC, we know that's behaving normally. And again, I cover these normal behaviors in the xBrat Academy. And I know at least we only just launched that about a month ago, but I know one, if not a couple of you's already done that essential module now. I know Vincent's already done it because he's one of my apprentices. So, but that is a very, very important module. And what I'm going to do, I am going to, and Gary's going to shout at me for this, I've got a special flip book just for me, and I can give discounts, okay? There was a Black Friday discount, but what I'm going to do is extend it for just this, and I'm not going to actually say the coupon code. Okay, what I'm going to do is type it into the chat box, so it's only available. It's 75% discount on this essential module. Okay, so let me just put my cursor there, and I am going to put the coupon code in the chat for 75% off this essential module. There's a lot in this essential module. Okay, we have Fibonacci extensions, trading tutorial for volume and price action, the markets, economic data, what we've just covered there in that thing. Very, very important. We look at correlations. We look at how to use the manager properly. There's actually recordings of live sessions from my apprenticeship in there as well. There's a lot of essentials. Again, for those that are new to futures trading, there's some beginner's guide to futures trading in there as well. So very, very important. So now I'm going to give you that link to the flip book. You have got the coupon code in the chat, and that is the flip book code to go get it. You can't do the other modules till you've done the essential modules. Okay, so we have covered what constitutes a signal software, a confirmation software. You know, we've had a brief look at that, those guardian zones and everything else. So, and then I've introduced the Trading Buddy, which will be released next year, which is, you know, pretty cool. It takes a while to load up, maybe 20, 30 seconds, but once it's loaded, there's no lag time with performance or anything, because it basically has to load up 6 time frames for each of these meters. So it's got to get a lot of data, but once it's loaded it up, it's very quick. Again, this is all live, the economic data coming out, and it transcribes onto there. I've already done the trading for it, because you can change the flags to up at the top of the chart, and you know, there's lots of things in there. So what I'm going to do is just, if you've got any questions on the Trading Buddy right now, put them in the chat. I will answer them now, and then I'll move on. Yes, these 3 sets here are customizable. So when we're looking the back end on indicators to Trading Buddy, we can see here custom group 1, 2, and 3. So you can change them to whatever you want to do. Okay. And the good thing about this is, Vincent, that when the contract rolls over, that rolls over automatically as well. So you don't need to go in and keep changing it. So we're scraping data, and again, Otis, it's not about the results of the news, okay? Because you can't predict that. It's about when it's coming out and how impactful it is. So you can make that decision and understand that operational landscape for the instrument that you're trading. So to me, I never look at what's forecast. I never look what the prior is, because in reality, it doesn't matter to us mere mortals. The only people that data is important to are the institutions, the algorithms that work out the difference between forecast and prior and the actual, and depending on that, they make a decision to go long or short. What we need to use it for is understand what's coming out, what is it going to affect. So GBP is going to affect GBP US dollar. It affects copper quite a bit. Again, if it's a US data, especially high impact course, PPI and all that sort of stuff, we can understand there. So it's about identifying the times when you see down here on the chart when it's coming out. So in the future, so if I'm going to give you an example here, if we're at this point here coming down, okay, and we know in the future there's US data coming out, we're not going to take any of these signals right here because we're too close to that US data. What we're going to do is wait for that to happen. You see how that US data initially pushes up and it rejects into that support and resistance zone. So what it's doing is it's basically filling out your operational landscape so you can make that plan, what's coming up today. It does put the figures in there, but that makes no difference to you as traders, okay? It's the reaction that's important. It's having it on your chart to make sure you're not making mistakes. Or if you're already in a trade that's been in an hour or so, you're making sure it's risk-free, so you're not going to get caught out with a reversal. I can guarantee 97% of traders that don't understand how economic data impacts their current trades actually get wiped out of their trades because economic data comes out. And then they're trying to scratch their heads to figure out what's going off. Why have they lost? It was going brilliantly. So this is that's why that is important. Okay, so yeah. So it's about understanding in planning your day, that operational landscape, and understanding what's coming in the future, but also going back and looking at that previous data and how it affected your instrument. Yeah, it will. When Monday opens, for example, it will show everything that's coming out that day. Okay. So it'll be totally for that particular trading day. Okay. So when in Cyprus, when you get up in the morning, it will have that following day, what's going to be occurring and at what times. Okay. Yeah. So we're on a Saturday doing this training. So obviously it's not put anything on until we get the open on Sunday, and then it'll put all of those on the chart and it'll update this data as well. That's right. But having that visual cue and that operational landscape on your chart and understanding if the correlations are out of whack, and even if I've got a signal and confirmation and fresh air, I'd be very reluctant to take it if my correlations are not working normally, because it could just turn around on you. And especially if you're going into data, you've got to make sure that you're risk-free, at least, or you're trailing your stock properly. To ensure that you're not losing money needlessly when these data events come out. There was a reaction when this Chinese new loans data came out. It's medium impact. Okay, who knew that? Okay, and it does. So it's very, very important. Swiss data really affects currencies, which then affects gold and oil. There's knock-on effects. There's these correlations that are very, very important. So any more questions on the Trading Buddy before we move on? So look out for those emails in the new year to get hold of that. Okay, so let's minimize that. Okay. So what I'm going to bring over now is a TradingView chart to begin with. Okay. And I've just put it on gold for now. Okay. And I want to just remind you, of how I put these zones on. Okay. These support and resistance zones. And it's all about, so the Guardian zones has learned from me. Okay. And that algorithm now it's amazing. It's very accurate. Okay. And I know some of you use it that are on this training today. It is extremely accurate because I've got 26 or odd years of experience of drawing these bloody things. And it gets boring, hence the money I spent to actually make it automatic, so I don't have to do it anymore. So we need to understand multiple timeframes. That's one of the biggest things. So I'm going to just go up to hour for now, and I'm going to pull in some of the sort of main pivots that I look for. So for me, the zone has to have a top and a bottom. There's no exact price where decisions are made and markets turn around and respect support or resistance. There's a zone of price. There's always a lag. Okay, and some of them are wider than others. But we need to understand, and there's lots of calculations that the Guardian zones does about percentages and all that sort of thing. But In reality, the basics are we're looking for multiple touches on the top here, okay, and on the bottom with this shoulder, and then we've got a good 60-minute zone. Then this zone up here is a bit wider. It's actually the 60-minute zone is in pink, or whatever you want to call it. And we get in some major points of control from the bottom here, and from these pivots here. But when I go to the 30 minutes, the green zone is the 30-minute. And that's where we have an overlap, a confluence, if you like, these big pivots points on here, and the one down here. 1, 2, 3 touches is where we get that 30-minute really, really strong. And then if I go left, there's more. But the idea is to build up a picture and identify a zone of price. It doesn't need to be too thick. And again, in the xBrat Academy module, the essential module, I teach you how to do this in more detail, if you like. Now, then we're going to go down to the 15-minute, for example, and just look in, what's going to affect us in the next day or so. And again, we see this 15-minute overlap here. This is really strong, 15, 60, 30, really strong pivot here. So if it comes back up to test there, I need to be wary, okay? We do have an overlap of the 15-minute here with the 60, again, very, very strong. So it's about spending the time to build that those support and resistance zones on multiple time frames and having them on your charts. So it can be done on TradingView. You just need to do it manually and update them. And again, lots of training on that in the academy. What I'm going to do now, though, is bring over the Guardian zones. So now I'm just going to take off the 5-minute zone for now. I'm going to add the 30. So what I want to do is just that same point here. You can see we've got the 30, the 60, and the 15. If I just take the 60 off, you'll see it green. If I take the 30 off, you'll see the 15 there, okay? Automatic. This one has started printing at this point, because now this is worth looking at, because it's hit here. And when you go left, there'll be other instances where it's hit. But the idea is now this becomes relevant, okay? This one becomes relevant at that time. And then when we add the 30-minute, we can see that solo 30-minute that we saw earlier, and then so on and so forth. And it actually does, a lot. And then we put the 60-minute on, okay? So now we can see this confluence down here, big strong support. We hit that on Friday. But if I go further down, we can see some really big support and resistance zones down here. Now, remember, we're trading this on the 5-minute. So when we are trading this, we're looking, when we've got that fresh air in our equation, we're looking at signals that are coming down after this point. Okay, so we've got lots of fresh air. Obviously, we need the confirmation and the signal. But the idea with support and resistance zones, it gives you that clarity that you've got fresh air to trade into. If you have not, remember, one of the rule is you don't trade. Okay, very, very important. And again, we could go down to the 1 minute if we wanted to, go on the data series. It's going to take a while to calculate now because I'm on the 1 minute. But the idea with this is that it's in part really, it's an essential part of your trading, just like the Trading Buddy is going to be, because it gives you, Trading Buddy gives you those vertical lines of control where those data points are. You can have those correlations on there to see if market behaving normally, all those correlations are normal, or if they're not, you've got to be very, very careful. So it gives you that sort of instant visual input, and then you've got that support and resistance zones on there, which are very, very strong. So I've got a question: from which indicators the signal sell or buy? Again, I went through that earlier, we've got lots of different signals for different market conditions and different behaviors. So those signals come from there. What I'm not showing you any signals right now. What I'm doing, I may be answering that late because it's on the Q&A and not the chat box. But they are very important. I'm going to change this back to 5 minutes, taking forever. We just did it and now it's going again. Okay, so support resistance, extremely important, a very important part of that three category equation, signal, confirmation, fresh air. And again, when I started this session, we talked about those different types of signals for different market conditions. I even showed you a couple on the trading buddy. I showed the arranged breakout signal and also the VWAP Predator type signal there as well. So again, very, very important that you understand the guardian zones, okay? Very important. So one thing I've been asked to cover is how to load up an indicator onto NinjaTrader and onto TradingView. So first of all, with TradingView, you don't receive a physical file. What you do is you receive a request to give your username, okay? And you've opened a TradingView account, you've got a username. You send that to us. And then what happens is you go in the invite only with the little sort of padlock there will be a list of all of, or if it's just one, of the software that you've been given access to. It takes about 24, maybe 36 hours at the most to give you access, okay? But then once you have access, you will just click on it. So it's going to be there. So you don't receive the physical software. What we do is give you access through TradingView because we're one of the vendors on TradingView. It's all embedded. So for example, if I wanted to put this, let's go for something VWAP Predator. Wanted to put the VWAP Predator on, I just click and you can see it was calculating up there and it's on the chart. Okay, simple as that. Very, very simple. So that's now our signal. And if you need to buy the bias depth heatmap because that's the one that gives you the confirmation. Go to indicators again, invite only, look for the bias depth heatmap. I've got so many on here, it's unbelievable. There it is. Okay, we're on the 15-minute here. So what we do with here on the bias depth heatmap, we're going to go to day trading settings, click OK, and we're just going to pull it down so it looks like a heat map. Okay, so now I've got the guardian zones on there, and I've just showed you how to add an indicator. Remember, with TradingView, you don't physically receive it. You just have to give us your TradingView username, and then we give you access. Okay. With NinjaTrader, it's a little different. What happens on NinjaTrader is you will be sent a zip file, and you basically need to put that zip file in your downloads folder. Then you'll go to tools, and then you will go to import NinjaScript add-on, and your downloads folder will come in and you'll click on there and it will import. Okay. That doesn't give you immediate access. What you need to do is go to help, third-party licensing. Okay. And then you're going to type in the vendor name. The vendor name is given to you in an email. And then what it does is produce a user-defined ID. You copy and paste that. We then go onto our system and give you access. Okay, so it's slightly different. I'm not going to do that now because otherwise nothing will work on my computer because it changes it every time you try and do it. Okay, so that's how to get it on. Onto your NinjaTrader system, and then to add it, if you right click on your chart, you go to indicators, and most of the new ones are in an xBrat folder. The manager's quite old, believe it or not. The manager's down here, for example. So if I want to put the manager on, I double click it goes down into here. Day trading moderates are good for now. Click apply, and it adds the manager. Okay. It will take a little time to calculate those guardian zones again. Again, like anything, you're just actually putting a lot of data through it, because this looks at your current time frame, the 15, the 30, the 60, the daily, and the weekly. Boom, it's on. Okay. But as far as performance goes, once the market's open and that's running, it doesn't affect the performance. It's just that load up time. And one thing I would say for anybody that's adding anything to NinjaTrader, any software or loading anything up or putting a new chart set together, do it before the volatility really comes in. Okay, get up before sort of 7:30 a.m. EST and get what you need to get loaded up. Okay, because once that data starts flying, it will slow your machine down, because there's a hell of a lot coming in. So get all of that prep work done before. I mean, I start my computer up on a Sunday night and it's running the whole time. BPS is the same until it closes on Friday. Yeah. One thing to be aware of when you do that is make sure that your Windows update is set to give you a manual sort of reminder, if you like, that it needs to be done. The worst thing that could happen is you get a Windows upgrade and it kicks in and you're in a trade. Okay, so just be aware of that. Very, very important. So any questions on support and resistance zones and the guardian zones before I move on? Speak now, or I'm moving on. We've been going 45 minutes. The list is long. Okay, so we're going to move on. That's good. Right, so let's minimize that and let's bring over TradingView, because what I want to do now is go through each of those sort of bits of software, if you like. Again, we've got quite a lot. So what I'm going to do is going to go through them one by one and explain what the strategy is for and what type of market condition it's for. Okay. And again, they're on different time frames and all that sort of stuff. So just bear with me. So first of all, I'm going to go top left. Okay. So on the top left, I've got the range breakout, and it's on Euro US dollar I now, because we've done gold, we've done copper. So now I'm doing a Forex pair. Okay. I'm just going to take that off because you don't need that. Okay. So on here, I have the bias depth heat map, because it's a tool that I need on every single chart, because it's my confirmation tool. Okay. And I've got the opening ranges. So I've got the London opening range here. What have I got that setting on? Day trading. That's good. Okay. And then I've got the New York gold pit open there. So what it does is defines that range. When we get that first open and we're looking for a move out of that range. And as you can see here, we had the London open at 03 EST. One thing that the range is colored in green. Okay. So that means we're only looking for long trades. Confirmations 3 out of 3. I'd like more, but again, it depends. I don't know how Euro US dollar behaves. So I'd need to back test this and understand that actually 3 out of 3 on a breakout, the London Open, is what I need. Or is it 5 out of 6? Is it, we need to understand that. And it's all about the back testing. We get the New York gold pit open here, but we get the reversal down here. So there was no trade. So really, this defines the day. This is changeable. So we can change that to oil. We can have the oil pit open at 9 a.m. EST. We can change it to gold. Again, you get the gold pit open, which is 2 a.m. EST. And New York gold pit open, you probably have the London open in there as well. So it defines that range. So it's a specific strategy for specific times of the day. Okay, and that's always my start point for an instrument. Okay, what's the opening range? Do I get an opening range breakout? Okay, in the London Open, there was a great one. Okay, when we start to go through Confluence, you'll see how I build in those other indicators to give me more sort of confidence in moves, if you like. But that's the range breakout. So for those that can only trade certain times of the day, this is brilliant because you are, there's always a London Open, there's always a New York Gold Pit Open, there's always a NYSE Open, there's always an oil pit open. It's always at the same time of the day. It defines the range, gives you the bias for the range, and in this case, we're looking for the long. It came down below because it's got to trigger on the next candle. You don't take the trade, you walk away. That's the trade. Okay. Obviously, you're going to have your support and resistance zones there, and you get the confirmations and everything. But that's that particular the signal, if you like. So the next one is the VWAP Predator. So this relies on momentum. Okay. So I've got this on the 3-minute Heikin-Ashi for now. Okay. But what it does, it starts. So this is normal behavior here. So we're going into the nighttime and then the Asian session here with Euro US dollar. And it's pretty, it's traded, but not a lot. We start to get into the European pre-market and the European Open at 3 a.m. We start to gather momentum. Okay. Now we get our first buy signal at this point. Again, I don't know how US dollar behaves, but I'm just giving it as an example. There's 5 out of 6 on the confirmation. If we understand around that time of the day that 5 out of 6 is, when we've done the back testing, that's a good signal. We take that signal, we go long. Okay, we have a buy signal here with 6 out of 6, another buy signal here straight after, so we can start to add. Then it goes reasonably flat. One thing that we would suggest is we always follow these VWAP extensions for our trailing stop. So once we breach this top one, this next one down becomes our trailing stop position. Okay, so here we're getting this signal, the VWAP is our stop. And then once it breaks through this next one, the next extension is our stop. So we're looking in profit here. But then look what happens pre-market of the US. We get another signal. We got all 6 out of 6. We add more contracts if you're trading futures or more lots to the position here. And then the next one, we get another signal. So we add even more and it keeps going and keeps going. Now we can see the manager ribbon in here. It turns red at this point. We take our profit. Okay. Very, very good tool. It's a momentum trading tool. Okay. Very, very important. So it looks at both price action and volume, also in respect to where we are with the VWAP and those VWAP extensions. So it's a really, really good tool for scalping and day trading. So that's the next one. The next one is the Slingshot. So the Slingshot does what it says on the tin. We have a slingshot type of environment. So I've gone a bit weird here. So this is a 30-second, but it's on the Renko ATR 14. But in reality, I just want to explain the actual strategy itself here, the signals. So we get a move up, we pull back. The Slingshot identifies those pullback zones and gives you signals. In this case, we've got a type 2 and a type 1 buy signal. It also gives you those target zones, but then a trailing stop. So you can see this is wherever it shows a trailing stop, it's a winner. Okay. Then we can see another one. So it's going pretty flat, but it does give you a pullback zone here. Type 2 buy, go. Target 1, target 2, target 3, and there's our trailing stop. Those trailing stops can be changed. And it's the same for sell signals. A type 3 is a trend failure. We get a little trade here, then it pulls back. Now it prints a pullback zone for a short. Type 2 sell, comes down, hits target 2. And the same here, type 2 sell. At this point, we can see it comes down and takes a trailing stop. Again, now we're changing momentum. It's coming up, it's pulling back, going up, it's pulling back. We get a type 1 buy, it goes. So that's the Slingshot. So this is really for something that's trending, pulls back, and then goes again. Okay, so that's a different type of strategy for a different type of behavior. Okay, the Harmonics next is for me. So you'll see this on the daily time frame. So this is Euro US dollar on the daily time frame. It automatically spots this bat pattern. It's labeled it a bat, and it's completed in the automated completion zone. You see these two levels here. So for me, I don't trade this, but I understand on a daily time frame or on an hourly or something like that, on the instrument that I'm trading, is that this has met so many rules. The likelihood is it's going to go up. So if I'm day trading, now what I'm really looking for is the longs. Okay, they'll be confirmed if I'm using, if I'm on, for example, I'm on, I've got the trading buddy on NinjaTrader, my correlations were the right way, but really the long trades, you see these fib target points here, hits 100% fib and comes back down again. So these are, having this on your chart it's a strong potential. I mean, you can have it on different time frames, but for me, I want to understand that sort of that overall view, and to be honest, it's part of my operational landscape, if you like, because yes, it doesn't happen very often, but when they do, this is a short look. Another back pattern completes in the automated completion zone, comes down to the 127, pulls back up. Where does it find resistance? At the D pivot and the bottom of that zone, and then goes again. That gives you an idea of where during these days where you should be going short on euro or US dollar only. So again, it's something I don't trade. It is a signal, and people can trade that signal, and whether it's on a 3-minute or a daily. But for me, I personally use it as part of my operational landscape, so I can have an understanding of what's going on sort of longer term for me. So I'm confident in those shorts or those longs, depending on where we're going. Okay, and you'll see I've got the bias depth heat map on all of those as well. So roller coaster now. So roller coaster basically is the roller coaster motion. Okay, so sometimes we get into these small sort of moves where we're in these big sort of between zones and everything like that. So you'll see, here, wherever you see these trailing stops printed, these are all winners. Okay. So, from 11 a.m. this day on the 12th of December, we got a short, that's a trailing stop. It's a winner. Okay. We've got another short here, trailing stop winner. Long is a loser. Okay. There's no 100% here. Then we roller coaster, long, short, winner, long, loser, long, loser. We got a short winner, then we get a really big long. Okay, that does happen. No signals here, and then we move along in the day, and we can see again we're in that roller coaster motion, and that's what the roller coaster is for. So roller coaster works very well when you get a lot of volatility, because you get a lot of up and down movements like a roller coaster. And this week when inflation data came out, the roller coaster was very strong on gold. Okay, so that's the roller coaster, a different type of behavior, different strategy. Then we have the xBrat Algo. So what this does is gives you grades of a trade. So for example, we've got a 4, a 5, and a 6-star buy. So as momentum's building, as the train is gathering momentum, leaving that station. So as retail traders, we cannot move that steam train away from the platform, if you like. Volume needs to be coming in. That is given really by those institutional traders. But we start to understand as that momentum builds. So if we want to be early into trading, we get a 4-star, and we've actually got, we've got confirmation underneath, which we haven't got at this point, so I wouldn't take it, especially if we've got this pivot up here. And then we get the 5-star. I'm more inclined then to take the 5-star, okay, because we're 5 out of 6. Then we get a 6-star. You see the momentum building, and it really just go for it here. I've got the manager on here as well, so we can see we've got these dots up above, so that's higher than average volume, and the dots down below are lower than average volume. And then we can see shorts is exactly the same. 5-star sell, we're 5 out of 6. 6-star sell, we're 6 out of 6. Okay, when you can use the manager to manage those trades. Again, the same here, 5, 6-star sell. Okay, stop's going to be above this pivot. Take the short, doesn't take the stop out. We understand with the manager on this pullback here, we got higher than average volume, but it runs out of juice and then starts to come back down again. The manager ribbon still stays red. We're going to stay in this trade. Okay, so that is the xBrat Algo. Okay, so now we're on ElliottWave. Okay, so I'm on a 30-minute time frame here, and So no chart should look pretty, okay? I wish it did, and some of these people that sell these really weird ElliottWaves and MT4 and stuff, they all look pretty, but there's no pretty chart. A wave, it identifies wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 3. Then identifies the pullback zone for the wave 4. We've got, so coming down on the wave 3, we've got a false breakout stochastic down here. What happens on that? That shows really strong bearish momentum. So when the stochastic pulls back on there, it's like elastic band. And if that's doing that at the same time as pulling into one of these pullback zones for a wave 4, the likelihood is it's going to go down and hit that automated target zone for the wave 5. And you can see how strong that support, it is support, but actually it's just our target zone for the 5th wave. We start printing that and it adjusts here until we get the wave 4. We also teach people how to look at the ElliottWave oscillator and measure that for that behavior to make sure the wave 4 has behaved. Lots of ticks in the box, trade the short, okay? And that's how we use for ElliottWave. ElliottWave, when we close for euro US dollar on Friday, is we've had the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4. I wouldn't, we've gone from false breakout, strong sell to strong buy. We didn't cross over in the oversold zone, so that wouldn't be a long trade for me. But there's lots of rules, and we've got all of those in the training. And then finally, I've got another chart here. So this is not signals. This is just showing the bias depth heat map in there and the manager that really, really important, the manager, because it stops us from getting out of trades too early. So for example, say we've got a signal coming down here and we're going flat at this point here. There is no sign on the manager with volume here that we're going to get out of this trade, because this is a higher than average volume doji. This is a higher than average volume down candle. Then we get a cyan candle, which is down, but it has less volume than the previous candle, even though it's higher than the other. Again, there's training for this, and it becomes very simple to do. But we do get a green candle here, which is higher than average volume. So all we do is put our trading stop above the previous pivot there. If it takes us out, we're locking in, we take the profit. It doesn't, it turns around, it comes back down again. All of these moves up here, see, higher than average volume, but it's a doji, it's indecision. It pulls down again, okay? Now at this point, we start to move away from there, and I would say this is a real strong support and resistance zone, okay? If we were to look left, we can see some really strong support and resistance here. These pivots here and here, if I've got those support and resistance zones drawn on my chart, I'd be taking profit when it hits those zones, okay? And that's very important. That's why we have those support and resistance zones. Right, so I've gone through them reasonably quickly, because what I want to go on to next is I want to give some examples of Confluence, whether it's day trading or even swing trading with stocks as well. So I want to go through that. And I want to go through another strategy that I use with stocks. And I talk about this in my book. I talk about shorting to feed the investing pot. So I want to give an example, I give an example of Microsoft in my book, but what I want to do is give a different example, this time on AMD. So before I move on, any questions on any of the signal software and the strategies surrounding that, or indeed the confirmation, the trade management software? Any questions on that before I move on? Need some water? No questions. Okay. Okay, so we've done gold. So what I want to do now is go on a Confluence strategy journey. And we're actually going to use crypto. Okay, for a change, okay, because I'm always doing futures, occasionally Forex, but we're going to use crypto now. We're going to use Bitcoin, and I'm going to show you when I added to my Bitcoin. Okay, so and I use this Confluence strategy very, very regularly. Okay, so let me just get everything set up properly. Ooh, that's a big arrow there, isn't it? So what I've done is drawn some vertical lines on there to give you a timeline, if you like, okay? Because one of the important things is that we understand momentum builds with different market behaviors and strategies. If we combine them, we can find good confluences and combinations of timeframes to actually give us confidence that, hey, this thing's going, okay? And that's what we need as traders. So each signal strategy that I've built is for a specific type of behavior and the strategy that sort of revolves around that behavior. But one of the things I've done for years and years is actually combine those strategies to give me a confluence strategy, hence the title of the book, Confluence, Not Coincidence, okay? So I'm going to go through a simple one today with just 4. One of those is the bias depth heat map. For some reason, my charts have moved, so I just need to go back in time until I find those vertical lines. We're going now, we're going. We'll find them in a minute. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to go what I've got on what time frame. So top left, 30 minutes. So this is Bitcoin US dollar on the VWAP Predator. Okay. On the top right, I'm 2 hours Heikin-Ashi on the xBrat Algo. On the bottom left, I am 2 hours Heikin-Ashi roller coaster. Okay. And on the bottom right, I am 15-minute for my bias depth heat map. Okay, so this is the timeline, if you like. So let's try and zoom out a bit. So this is what we're looking for. So we get a signal Tuesday, the 5th of November this year as a buy signal on the top left for the VWAP Predator. At that point, that's just a signal. When we look at the bias depth heat map, we haven't, for me with a confluence, it's pretty much 6 out of 6. We're literally got some neutral in there. So at the moment, we call that a green light. Yeah. But this is yellow, this is yellow, this is yellow. So we've got 1 out of 4. Okay. Then we get here a buy signal, this green arrow, on the roller coaster on the 5th of November at 0900 hours. Okay. So at this point here, we've now got 2 green. This is that same time on the top here, and then obviously it's just migrated onto there. At that point, our bias depth heat map is almost all green. But then on the 15-minute, we see where on the bottom right chart, in the little purple dots, the bias depth heat map goes all green. Now, because we're on a 2 hour, it looks like it's at the same time there. So all of a sudden now, green light, green light, green light. This is looking good. We then get more signals here on the VWAP Predator. So momentum's starting to build. I'm still only got 3 green lights, okay? But then the final piece of the puzzle is the green hashed line here, okay? Which is the 6-star buy from the xBrat Algo. And at the same time, we can see down on this chart here, we're purple because everything is green on the bias depth heat map. So imagine, I'm a Formula One fan, those start lights, okay? I know the red, but they're green today. They come on, they're all green. So you're watching this, and this is the confluence that you need to say, I'm buying Bitcoin. Yeah. And this could be gold, it could be anything else. So this purchase was around $70,000. Okay. Now, I then refer to the xBrat Algo with the manager to manage the trade. This is important. Okay. This is my last green light. So I'm going to use the manager on that last green light to manage the trade. Okay. So I'm just going to go big on this chart. I'm going to go down. So we come up, we go sideways. We're going sideways as lower than average volume. This manager ribbon stays green. We push up again. We go sideways, lower than average volume. The manager stays green. Even though it comes below this ribbon, don't worry, this is all lower than average volume. You'll see a higher than average volume in there. This red candle here, that's a rejection of the lows of higher than average volume. That's a good sign that it's not going to go down much further. And then it keeps going until such time it turns red at $97,000. So I got in at 70, I got out at 97,000. Okay. This is just an example of how to use Confluence to understand. So there's a confluence of 4 there. There's a lot more. And some of my strategies can be quite complex, but I've just gone simple here with 4. And imagine those lights for longs going all green or shorts going all shorts. So I've just done this module now with my Q2 apprenticeship this year. And now they've gone away to figure out what the win percentage is over 90 days with a Confluence model. There's a lot of rules in there. You still got the support and resistance, you've got the confirmation, all that sort of stuff. And I know I've already done that work. It's over 95%. Okay. There are trades. Yes. This is a swing type of trade, but with day trades, there's quite a few more. There's not as many as using one specific strategy. Okay. But when you combine them for Confluence, you may only get 25–30% of the total of amount of available trades because you need the full Confluence to get in the trades. But I know when they do, they move very well. So it's about having that Confluence to give you the real strong moves. It's like jet fuel. It's ready to go. Okay. And you're getting those lights coming on with those different strategies for different behaviors. All the stars are aligning and you go. And then you're using the manager as we train you how to do it. That's in that I was going to call it F1 Academy then, the xBrat Academy essential module, because this maximizes profits consistently. Okay. So any questions now? So I've gone through it reasonably quickly. So the Confluence strategy. Is there any questions on this basic Confluence model that I've used there? Because there must be some you may be confused on something, but hopefully I've explained it in a way that you can understand. In any Confluence model I'm going to take, that I'm using 4, 5, or 6 strategies, I'm always going to have this bias depth heat map as one of my lights. Okay. And for a Confluence strategy, I need 6 out of 6 on that bias depth heat map. So any questions on that, please put them in the chat. And I know, Vincent, you probably use this quite a bit, and it is very powerful. So where do I place the stop? I use this roller coaster signal. The stop is here at 66,786. Okay. Where do I place the stop as we move along with the manager? What I'm looking for, and this is a really great question here, I see a resistance forming at this point here. Okay. And this is how I call it step management. Okay. So what you're looking for is there's a high pivot on this sort of zone here. Okay. So we see it's struggling to push through. We pull back onto this pivot here. Let's walk through this. Okay. Once it breaches and closes up above there, I can then place my stop under the previous low pivot. Let's turn that red. Okay. So now what happens is we pull up, we pull back, we go again, but we really don't breach this. Okay. Until we get to that point there. Yeah, so we have a pivot, but it comes back to test that same high pivot. we come back down. This is a higher low. This is a good sign. Then when that breaks, we bring our trailing stop below this previous pivot here. This is the one that's going to, this is a higher low. This is brilliant, but this is the pivot we're really interested in. Okay. Then we actually do pull back at this point here, and really, until it breaches here, I'm going to hold fast. Okay. We're going, well, these are small pivots. This is where I need to close. So once that closes above there, I'm looking at these pivots here. This has been a long time. So I'm going to go below the lowest point here, and I'm going to adjust my stop there. Always giving it plenty of room. Okay. This is the main thing here. You've got to give things plenty of room. So then we pull back, and we've got another pivot really formed up here when we go to pull back. It never breaks there, but the manager tells me to get out at this point here at $97,000. Does that make sense, Otis? Yeah. A lot of traders make mistakes in going risk-free too quickly. The manager's letting you know that everything's good. When we're going sideways, it's lower than average volume. There's no real selling volume here. So just be patient and wait. And when it pops up, then you can start to manage, and just be sensible and conservative. Don't be too quick. I know it's money, but you've got to take that out of your mind, and you've got to be an algorithm. Okay. And again, we cover this in the training with the manager in that xBrat Academy Essential module. Okay. Any more questions? And yes, Vincent. So Vincent uses it a lot. So Vincent was, he's finished the apprenticeship now. He's on Q1 this year. So he's gone through all of that xBrat Academy. And, that culmination of that whole apprenticeship and the training is this Confluence model using that software. But what we do is build it up in stages. So we do that essential module first, then we do range breakout. Then we do xBrat Algo. Then we do roller coaster. So you're learning about each one individually, and then at the end, you learn how to put them together, which ones to put together for your instrument that you're married to. So that was an example on cryptocurrency for our Confluence strategy. And again, I write about this a lot in the book. And if you've not got my book, why is the first question. Check it out on Amazon. Confluence, not coincidence. It will open your eyes. Right, so the ASBs are different. The ASBs only work on NinjaTrader. The ASBs that we have the Guardian zones built in, and it also has the bias depth heat map built in. So tomorrow's session is all about ASBs, okay? You cannot use the indicators that we give you on TradingView or the indicators on NinjaTrader to build your own strategy. They are indicators, okay? What I've just talked about is combining those indicators, being old school traders, and just identifying those confluences, pressing go and managing the trades, okay? The ASBs we will do tomorrow. So the 2-hour session tomorrow, which will be recorded, I'm actually going to get you to choose an instrument, and we're going to go and we're going to look at a couple of different ASBs, and we're going to optimize them totally during that session. Okay. So Alex, does that help? So the automated strategy builders will be tomorrow, and they're only for NinjaTrader. Let me know that's okay. And then if no one's got any more questions, I will go over a stock strategy, which I talk about in my book towards the end, but I'm going to use AMD. Yeah, go on, Christine, go ahead. For longer term like this, yeah, absolutely. I don't day trade manually anymore, but for longer term like this, remember, my bread and butter was cut. 80% of my trading was swing trading stocks. And I've done very well on crypto over this last 5 years as well. But I don't day trade stocks. I don't day trade crypto. So I use this Confluence strategy manually a lot. But sometimes it takes time for that to come to fruition. It could take, I mean, in this case, it took a day or so. Sometimes it could be a build-up of that confluence over a week. And that's what I'm looking for. So yes, I mean, to be honest, I'm bored of trading now. I've been doing it for 30 years. And what sort of excites me is helping other people and developing software like this new trading buddy that will help people see what I see, but I see it in this weird brain of mine that I've got a bit of. I'm a bit on the spectrum, and I see these patterns and things like that, and everything computes in my brain. But what I try and do is then put that into a visual software to help people. That's what gets me going nowadays. Why do you keep the bias depth heat map on a separate chart? This is just to help me visualize, Otis. So I don't trade. For example, BTC US dollar. I can't use NinjaTrader. There's no data. So I use my TradingView. You see down here it says TV Pro, TradingView Pro, because I was a professional trader and they won't let me have a normal bloody thing. I have to pay thousands per year for a bloody TradingView license. But so I use this for crypto. And I use it for stocks. Okay. So that's why I've got the bias on there, because for me, it's about understanding the confluence. So, I've told this from another chart set, but this is my Bitcoin chart set. And this is what I use to trade Bitcoin. Okay. And I'm not interested in trading Bitcoin day trading. What I'm interested in is looking for confluence. So when you look at this move here from down here to there, that's a 40% move. That's a great trade. Okay. I have no emotional connection to Bitcoin. I just know it moves well. And when it moves well, I want to take advantage of it. Okay. Even if that's 3, 4, 5 times a year, it doesn't matter. I will do it. Okay. And same with Ethereum and the same with stocks. So for me, it's just a visualization, and I actually draw these lines on as well. Okay, it's just the way I do it. As soon as I see a signal come on this 30-minute, for example, I'll draw a line, I'll click on it, and I will sync in layout. So it goes on all the other charts. And then when I get a signal here, I'll do the same thing. And again, this takes time. This is a 30-minute. This is a 2-hour time frame. So I've got time to do that. Even if I'm out for a few hours, I come back, I see the signal, I draw the line on, and I wait for that confluence to be to there. I make the decision, and I buy whatever it is, $20,000-$30,000 worth of Bitcoin. And then when it's time to get out, I sell the Bitcoin. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Does that answer your question, Otis? Okay. Any more questions before I move on? Oh, there's one in the Q&A. Hang on a sec. You cannot use my indicators with Strategy Builder. Okay. We have automated strategy builders ourselves. So there's a roller coaster one, there's a VWAP Predator one, there's an xBrat Algo one. So Alex, automated trading is our ASBs, and they are in the back of this flip book here. But let me get to the page. So when you open the flip book, so it starts on page 7 and continues to go. So I'll put that in there. Yeah, tomorrow is the ASBs at the same hour. Yes. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, the last thing I've prepared before we go on to sort of Q&A type stuff, is shorting to feed the investing pot. This is what I used to do for a living. 80% of my portfolio was stocks. So I call it free money. So hang on a minute, someone's just asked a question. That's correct, Otis. So a good stop position for me is always initial stop is a roller coaster, but I'm not actually taking the signal because the last confluence is the xBrat Algo. Okay, so I call it free money. So you've got a pot of money that you have bought shares in a particular stock. And in this case, it's AMD. Okay. For me, I'm never going to sell it. Okay. I'm going to, there's dividends and blah, 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 and we're growing wealth. But what I want to do is keep adding to that position at the right times. One of the strategies, one of the strategies to talk about in the book is shorting to feed the investing pot. So the investing pot is in one account and you're buying physical shares. Okay. You're looking for long-term growth and to grow your wealth. But to keep growing that, you need to keep buying more shares. Okay. And you can do that if you've got a decent salary, you can buy a few here, a few there, and whatever. But if you've got another separate pot of money, and in the US, you use options. I use contracts for difference. But in essence, they're both pots of money in a leveraged account, and you're going to use that to short. Okay. And then when you take the profit for that short, you take the profit, you move it to the account, and you buy the stock. Okay. The same stock. Okay. So if I've got a portfolio of 13 stocks, which I have, one of them's AMD, another Microsoft, and so on and so forth. What I'll do is I've got a set account that I use for shorts. Okay, so obviously I've got quite a lot of leverage in there and all that sort of thing. And I'll short using CFDs, and I'll make the profit. The profit I get on that short, I transfer to the other account, and I buy that same stock when it's right for there. Now, it's not always right straight away when you've got out the short, okay? And I'll explain a little bit about that in a minute. But the idea is, so in this situation, again, it's about a Confluence strategy as well. But what you will see is I've got sort of zones here that I've got with vertical lines with yellow arrows in, three predominant zones. On the left-hand chart, I'm on the daily time frame. Okay, and we can see we're very range bound, and we get this harmonic pattern is respecting this sort of range, these support and resistance. So the dark purple sort of support and resistance is the weekly support and resistance, and the gray is the daily. And if we can see, if we go back a little bit, AMD's been in there for most of 2024. Okay, there's no real opportunity to buy AMD when we're in this sort of situation. But what we need to do is short to feed that investing pot for when it's the right time to buy. Okay, and we just keep doing that when we get these opportunities. So again, something I talk about in the book is about the confluence here. So, when we're getting these, this previous back pattern complete in the top of this zone, it's really confirming that weekly zone. And then we're pushing down through that zone. So what I'm looking for then is signals on what we call intraday timeframes. So I have some very weird intraday timeframes. Okay, so I have the 195, the 98, and the 49. Okay. I know, Christy, you know the answer to this, but why do you think I have those timeframes for stocks? I only use them for stocks. Does anybody know? Exactly. So I'm splitting the day in half and half again and half again. Okay. So 195 is exactly half a trading day. And then the nearest half to that is 98, then 49. Okay. So what I've got on the right-hand side is AMD on the 98. So remember these three zones on the daily. Okay. We're trading basically shorts in those three zones because I've identified this pattern, this previous pattern completed, and then we're pushing down from this weekly, got lots of fresh air down to that daily zone. And then the next one, we've just had a B pivot form on this garlic pattern, and it's moving down. And then I'm going to trade it down to this daily zone. And then the next one, we get this garlic pattern finished to the tick on the weekly, and it starts to come back down again. So I've got, overview, my operational landscape, if you like, is that I understand there's short opportunities there. I'm not interested in buying AMD right now. I'm just looking to short to feed that invested pot with free money. Okay. So let's go big on here. And these are those three zones. lo and behold, we get confluence of hitting that resistance. We get a roller coaster signal to go short. We get a 5 and a 6 star signal on the xBrat Algo to go short. I'm going short. Okay. I'm using the manager to manage the trade until I hit there, and I'm just going to take out the trade. Okay. Really, really important here. I'm only looking for shorts. I'm only looking, we're getting, at this point here, we've got earnings, and we're just before earnings. I'm very close to that support and resistance zone. I understand that earnings could actually turn this thing around. I'm getting out, take my profit, move that profit into my investing account, and it's sitting there ready to buy AMD when the time is right. Okay. So the next one, again, remember on the daily, this was the B pivot that formed around about here. Again, I'm not interested in the longs. We get a short signal on just on the roller coaster this time, but I'm happy with that. Okay. And then we go short all the way down to the support zone. Happy, done. Then we get that last leg of that harmonic on the daily, which hits right at the weekly zone. And I get short signal on the roller coaster here. I can go short. Okay. We get taken out on the manager here just before earnings. Not a bad time to get out. Okay. Take the profit, move the cash. 6 star buy then after earnings reaction. Again, this is all about understanding your operational landscape. You've got earnings coming up. Make sure you're bloody out before then. Excuse the language. Yeah. Earnings reaction happens. Okay. Then we get a 6 star buy. We get a signal to go short on the roller coaster. Remember, I'm using the manager to manage my trade. Stays red, stays red, stays red, stays red, stays red until this point here when we get out. Okay. Didn't quite touch that daily zone, but it did eventually anyway. Okay. So then what I've done is a number of trades, okay, since the summer, okay, I've been short. And that's why I call it free money. Okay, so I've got a leveraged account. I'm not going to talk about figures here, but it's obviously a lot smaller than the big investing account, but it's highly leveraged with CFDs, and it's the same with options as well. But what you're looking for is that confluence strategy and understanding that you're shorting to feed that investing pot. There is no sign for me at this moment in time, whilst we're in this horrible range with AMD, to actually buy any more shares right now. The thing that I'm going to do is keep an eye on the daily and the weekly time frame and understand where we are with this. If this breaks down below this daily zone in the coming weeks, guess what? I'm going to wait for a signal. I'm going to go short. Maybe down to $80, okay? And at that point there, I will take the profit. Or when the manager tells me to take the profit, I'll shift it to my AMD pot ready to invest. Now, when I look on the weekly time frame, okay, we're actually going into, on the harmonic pattern, we're entering a really strong sort of completion zone on this Garley pattern. So if it comes down below this daily and then gets some momentum with volume, and it's probably going to be earnings at the beginning of February, if earnings are good enough to give me that, again, it's about confluence of earnings. It's about then it pushing through this daily zone with volume. Then I will use that free money I've got and I'll buy some AMD. Okay. So at this moment in time, I don't know what the future is going to hold. All I've done is I've been shorting AMD since the summer and feeding that investing pot ready for when I get the confluence on the daily or the weekly zone, weekly time frame to say, actually, now's a good time to buy AMD. Okay. So that was quite quick, 10 minutes or so. Again, I talk about it a lot in the book, and I use Microsoft because I do that with Microsoft as well. But hopefully that makes sense. So there's one thing I would say is when you're looking to go full-time trading, You need to build wealth. You can't build wealth alone with futures trading, okay? What you need to be able to do is start to build that stocks portfolio. Very, very important. US stocks, especially, the growth on there is just super. Okay. I cannot explain. It could take 13 years on a FTSE stock to actually do the same movement in a year or less on a US stock. Oh, excellent, Richard. That would be brilliant. And hopefully, if you like the book, you'll give me a good review as well. It's a good Christmas read. But yeah, so you've got to be, so for me, so futures trading for retail traders is your bread and butter, and your, paying your bills and having a nice life and all that sort of stuff. But to build wealth for the future, to retire, you've got to start thinking ETFs, you've got to start thinking stocks. You've got to have a strategy to feed that investing pot that's not going to drain you from all the money you're making futures. So you've got to start to build in a strategy like shorting to feed the investing pot. It takes time to do it. You're not going to do it immediately. I'm in a fortunate situation that I started trading in 1996. It's now 2024. Okay, so I've been there a long time, and I've built the strategies, the knowledge, the experience, and the investment portfolio over time. You can't do it immediately. That's correct, Christine. So when I short a specific stock, I'm going to use that profit for those shorts to buy that same stock. So I've got, it's a large, to be honest, it's quite a large portfolio of 13 stocks. Okay, and sometimes it's very difficult to short. You may only get 2 shorts in a year. But I try and have the rule is, at the moment I'm doing a lot of shorting on AMD, so I'm going to buy a lot of AMD when the time is right, and it's the same with Microsoft. So I always try and keep that proportion separate. So when it's the right time to buy, I'm using that money from them shorts to buy that same stock. So the link for tomorrow's webinar is the same as today, I believe. Let me just check. Tomorrow. When you registered for today, you would have been registered for tomorrow, so you'll get a reminder an hour before anyway. Okay, it's in the chat. Any more questions on shorting to feed the investing pot? This is an institutional strategy, but you need to use it. I have 3 VPSs and a local machine, Richard. I have a local machine also in Spain and the UK. So my office is the same wherever. It's the automated strategies run on VPSs, and all I do is save workspaces. When for example, I'm going away for a month now to spend with family, I'll just then load that workspace up onto my computer there. So my stocks, my Bitcoin, and all that sort of stuff is on my machine. And then futures automated traded on VPSs. Vincent, not at the moment. I'm having grief on that, but we will get it sorted next year. I just need a clear head to figure out the route for that. Yes, and yeah, it's about going back to drawing board. But yeah, that's really, really good. So no problem. Okay, I've done in what I've prepared. I think I've covered everything that Gary asked me to cover and more. So now's the time for you to ask me some questions, to look at a specific instrument with a specific indicator that you've got or thinking of getting, and then we can have a look at it and go from there. So please, in the chat box, give me your questions, whether it's specific to an instrument or an indicator that you're thinking of getting, and how it performs with that instrument and all that sort of stuff. So get it there and I'll shove it on a chart and we'll have a look. Don't want that one. Just trying to find a NinjaTrader chart. Well, you're thinking or typing your questions. Data. Okay, let's see if I can answer it. I'm not a data scientist. So I'll see if I can answer it. Christine, please don't ask me about API data. Oh, that type of data. I thought you meant the data that we feed through into the charts. So again, natural catastrophes for me, I also use them as Confluence, and you've read the book. I do look at things like, and I'll give you an example, is hurricanes in Florida. Okay, so hurricanes, and this is for stock. So hurricanes in Florida damage. Okay, so insurance companies pay out. Okay, so there's two strategies here. Is that when the insurance companies pay out, the natural herd mentality is to sell shares in that insurance company or those insurance companies. Okay. And that starts that pullback in those particular stocks. Okay. On the other hand, that money that they've given to people to rebuild their houses, those people go to Home Depot, to Lowe's, they go and hire a Caterpillar and all that sort of stuff. And that money is spent on that. So those shares tend to go up. That's that confluence. Again, that's the catalyst. You still need to understand where those support and resistance zones are. You still need the signals and the confirmations, but that's the catalyst, if you like. And then when all that payout's done and people's building their homes again, guess what? The insurance companies put their premiums up. If those people still want to be insured, they've got to pay their new premiums. So the insurance company's making more money. Guess what? People start buying those shares and those shares make new highs. So there's a cycle there. The catalyst is the hurricane. If you understand the catalyst, use confluences then to make the most of those things. And there's lots of other catalysts in there, and geopolitical is a big one. Okay. To be honest, I don't know how the next 4 years is going to go. I love the first, as far as I'm not going into politics here, but those 4 years with Trump was very good for me because there was loads of volatility and it was great trading conditions. I have no political views or anything like that. What's going to happen in the next 4 years, I don't know. But there's some things that will happen there that will be a catalyst for certain moves. But when we're looking at confluences, there's always a catalyst. The catalyst could be earnings, it could be geopolitical, it could be a war, it could be an invasion. So oil really suffered, for example, recently when Israel was bombing Palestine. Iran got involved. And then the current sitting president said he first said he doesn't mind if he hits the oil infrastructure of Iran. Okay, so oil took a massive dive. Okay, but then he rolled that back. I think it was 24 or 48 hours later, and oil recovered. So that geopolitical confluence of different things was the catalyst. Okay, there was other confluences then that allowed us to trade that. Does that help? Does that answer your question, Christine? Okay, so next one is, yes, there will be a recording to watch. It will be next week, it'll come out. Yeah. Richard, firstly, I'm more interested in the ASBs. However, if I migrate over to futures on NinjaTrader, what would you suggest for a broker if currently a UK tax resident? Okay, I would open a NinjaTrader account, Richard. Okay. That would be the way to go for me because UK residents can open a NinjaTrader account, and you're putting less barriers in the way. If you open an interactive broker account, you've got to push data through and back through NinjaTrader platform through API to interactive broker. The best thing is go the least line of resistance. Okay, I'm not going to give you any tax advice though. Christine, if you have two or more ASBs on the same time frame, would you put the two strategies together on the same chart? Absolutely not. Separate. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Sharing, could you explain the big difference between xBrat, Algo, and VWAP Predator? Okay, so VWAP Predator is more to do with when the momentum's going. Okay, whereas xBrat Algo is there at the beginning of the momentum. So there's a good comparison and confluence between them. So imagine a train, a steam train. It's at the first station. It takes some momentum to get going. Institutions start to push in volume, and that's when you're going to get your xBrat algos. And then all of a sudden, it starts to get momentum. It leaves the station. Then the VWAP Predator starts to come in, and the VWAP Predator really can be used to add more contracts or shares to a stock as the momentum gets going, as you get those VWAP Predator signals. So combining them both together, very, very good. If you're just day trading, you can still combine them together. You'll just get more signals from the VWAP Predator than you would the xBrat Algo, because remember, the xBrat Algo is there at the beginning. There's that steam train starting to gather momentum, and it's really starting at the beginning. Does that answer your question, Sharon? So yeah, Gary's just reaffirmed on that link from the flipbook for the xBrat Academy, for that essential module. He has put the coupon code in there. It won't be available during the recording because I'm not going to say it out loud, but it's in the chat there. Okay, right, I've answered those. Christine's happy, Sharon's happy, Richard's happy, everybody's happy. I'll be happy next week when I see my granddaughter. I saw her when she was born, and she's coming up to 2 months old now, and I haven't seen her since, so I'm going to spend a month at home. So for swing trading, xBrat Algo is definitely better because we want to be at the start there, and that's, you know, VWAP Predator would only be used on a 30-minute time frame maximum. But when you're swing trading, you're going to be looking at 98, 195 and daily time frames, and the xBrat Algo is better for that. Okay, that's a simple question. All I use the VWAP Predator for on the 30-minute is to give me that when I'm building a Confluence strategy for swing trading, like I showed you with the Bitcoin, because I know that steam train's going, and I'm ready to go. Some good questions coming in here, really good. Tell me, what do you think of the Trading Buddy? 4 months in the making. This been very frustrating, but we're almost there. Thank you. And the last one, for the 1 hour trading using heat map, what settings? So depending on the instrument, sharing, it could be day trading or swing. It depends on the instrument. I would tend to go for day trading to begin with, and until you get over sort of 2 hours and more, you'll be going swing. Okay, it really depends on the instrument. And thank you, Richard and Otis. Yes, it's a cool tool. And the only thing we're working on at the moment is how often this refreshes, because at the moment it refreshes every time a candle changes on here. But what I want to do is take that away. So whether you're on a 12-minute or a 10-minute like this it actually moves like, you know, the LEDs you used to see on the old stereos. It moves like that. And so that's just one little thing that we're getting sorted out next week, because I want it to refresh, or have the option to refresh more often. That's correct, Christine. It will take away a lot of the work and a lot of those failure points, because it's there on the chart and you should not ignore it. And again, those correlations, and again, I know, Christine, you've done the essential module on the xBrat Academy. Those correlations are extremely important, but they're very difficult when you're working on lots of different charts to actually visualize those. And this is why we've actually put those correlation meters on there, so you can see it instantly and have that confidence, or the lack of confidence, in a directional move of your instrument. So we've got 10 minutes left, guys. Any more questions? The floor is open, and this recording will be available in the next 24, 48 hours, because I know Gary is leaving for Spain first thing tomorrow morning. So, you know, it takes time to make it, sort of thing. Good point, Gary. So I will be using the ASBs tomorrow, the Automated Strategy Builders. So between now and then, please think of some questions, or maybe some really, well, not too spurious, but if there's an instrument that you trade and you want me to look at one of the ASBs to optimize it. Optimization can take up to 45 minutes, so be aware. If you give me some really spurious one that doesn't behave very well, it'll take even longer. So the VWAP only has the ribbon, it doesn't have the dots, okay? Because it's just one of those things we didn't build in. So it's not actually the manager, it's just the ribbon, and the settings for the ribbon are different with the VWAP, okay? No, there's no Christmas discounts on that. The big Christmas discount is the Academy, because in the Academy, you get 25% discount on the software. So, and that's why I've taken 75% off the Academy, because I think everybody, and I'm talking everybody, and we got nearly 40,000 customers, should do that first. You need to understand the basics and how my brain sees the markets. And, you know, now we've come to fruition and got the trading buddy. So it's understanding those basics. So what we do in that first module where you've got the manager, the bias depth heat map, the Guardian zones and whatever, you get a 25% discount on that software. And then every bundle, every module you take, you get 25% off the software in that bundle. But you get the correct learning. That's the thing. Sharing note. I've made it very clear to my guys and to everybody that asks, you can't do the other, you can pick and choose the other modules once you've done the essential. And this is important because the other modules will not make sense. The behavior that I discuss in the other modules specific to a signal will not make sense until you've done the essential module. It's like trying to build a tower block, but not putting the foundations in first. Okay. It will come crumbling down. Okay. And this is why it's called the essential module. Thank you, Richard. So Richard's done the essential module as well. So there's some very, thank you very much. On the last two in the essential modules, a lot of very valuable information in it. Okay. What I want to do is I want to build traders that succeed. You know, I live in a country with the tallest building in the world, okay? The Burj Khalifa. That would not be standing now unless some very strong foundations were built first, okay? And I've been to the top of that. It's very high, okay? So, and it's the same in trading. It's the same in being an athlete. That foundation, and that is very, very important. Okay, guys, we're just about out of time now. You'll have to get in touch with Gary about that. The first port of call with Slingshot is that 6-month lease. Whoops. A Slingshot is now available for TradingView as well as NinjaTrader, which is pretty cool. It took a long time to develop. That's very good. So yeah, Gary is Gary@globaltradingsoftware.com. If he doesn't answer you straight away tomorrow, it's because he's on a flight from Dubai to Spain. Okay, guys, I think that was a good, useful session. I hope you found it useful. It was a good 2 hours. Then we've got tomorrow on the automated strategy builders, and we'll do some optimizations and you know, really get down and dirty with the ASBs.